My name is Sandra, and I was raised in a large household. They repeatedly tried since Dad was determined to have a son. Before the physicians eventually took action, Mom became pregnant repeatedly. No more of the group said, "It's too risky." At that point, Mom and Dad decided to give up on their boy-loving ideal. I had to do a lot of grunt labor because I was the eldest. Please understand that although I adored my sisters, there were moments when I felt more like a parent than a sibling. I have to mature quickly, you know. I was washing laundry, changing diapers, and assisting Mom with all household chores while the other children were playing outside. With the birth of my younger sister, everything drastically altered. It seemed as though Mom and Dad had just realized they were parents. They purchased her the nicest toys, lavished her with attention, and enrolled her in every club and activity imaginable. She got what she desired. When I was around 14, I once heard my mother on the phone. "I just don't have time for the older girls anymore," she stated. However, Sandra is managing it. She is an excellent assistant. Assisting. I was relegated to the status of an assistant, not a sister or even a daughter. My grandma, Mom's mother, was my secret, though, and it kept me going. I was able to get her phone number, and we had been communicating covertly since they had a major argument years ago. I began to fantasize of college as I grew older. Being the babysitter for the family wasn't all I wanted for myself. However, my parents gave me a shocking revelation when I graduated from high school. Dad remarked, "There's no money for your education, Sandra," without even meeting my gaze. "You must get employment and provide financial support. We must put money aside for your sister's schooling." I sobbed myself to sleep that night because I felt helpless and stuck. But then I thought of Grandma, my hidden weapon. I contacted her the following day, and in between sobbing, told her everything. She added, "Don't you worry, sweetheart," in a stern and strong voice. "I'll cover your college expenses. You want to have the opportunity to live a better life." Suddenly, I found myself in a whole other universe. In search of a new beginning, I sent applications to universities in various cities. I was ecstatic to be admitted to study economics. My parents, however, didn't think so. "You're leaving your family behind," Mom said, her eyes icy. "After everything we've done for you." Done for me, what I was hearing was unbelievable. "I've been raising your kids since I was a kid myself." Dad shouted, "Get out," in a quiet, angry voice. "Go if you intend to. However, don't count on our assistance." That evening, while my sisters watched with teary eyes, I packed my luggage. They begged, "Don't go, Kathy." I told them, "I have to," and gave them all a firm embrace. "But I'll be here for you no matter what. Always." "Girls, you are not to have any contact with Sandra," Dad said behind me as I left the house. Do you get it? I felt like I could finally breathe as I got used to college life. There was a lot of activity on campus, and for once, I just had to worry about myself. However, while accepting this new chapter, I was still plagued with guilt. I really missed my sisters. I couldn't handle the idea of severing all contact with my parents, even if they were banned. I received a call one evening from an unidentified number. As I responded, my heart pounded. My second youngest sister said, "Kathy," in a voice that was almost audible. "Emily, is that you?" I was so excited that I could barely control myself. "Yes, it's me. My friend's phone is being used by me. Dad and Mom can't find out." We caught up on everything over the course of many hours that evening. Emily told me how our parents had become stricter, how things had changed at home, and how much everyone, even Sarah, missed me. In reference to our younger sister, I inquired. The person on the other end paused. "Sarah?" "Kathy, she's different," she informed me. "Mom and Dad learned that we had called you. They confiscated our phones. But don't worry, we'll figure out how to stay in contact. We cherish you, Kathy." Those covert calls ended up becoming my lifeline. With the exception of Sarah, my sisters would contact me via the phones of their pals. We would discuss their goals and lifestyles, and I would tell them about my time in college. It was something, but it wasn't the same as being there. I put myself into my studies in the interim. I was really interested in economics, and I was doing quite well in my lessons. My professors took notice, and soon I was being recommended for internships and special projects. As my college years flew by, I couldn't help but think about my family back home. I'd hear snippets from my sisters about how Sarah was still the golden child, how she was in all these clubs, and always the center of attention. Mom and Dad are talking about sending her to some fancy private school. My sister Jessica told me during one of our secret calls. "What about you and Emily?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Oh, Jessica said, trying to sound nonchalant. "We'll probably just go to the local high school. It's fine, really." But I knew it wasn't fine. I knew how it felt to be overlooked, to be treated like you didn't matter as much. It broke my heart that my sisters were going through the same thing. As graduation approached, I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. I'd done well in college, thanks in no small part to my grandmother's support. She'd been my rock through it all, always there with a kind word or a bit of advice when I needed it. "I'm so proud of you, Sandra," she told me over the phone one night. "You've overcome so much. Your grandfather would have been proud too." On the day of my graduation, I scanned the crowd, hoping against hope that maybe, just maybe, my parents and sisters would be there. But they weren't. The only familiar face in the sea of people was my grandmother, beaming with pride. Fresh out of college, I hit the ground running. The job was challenging, but I thrived on it. Months flew by, and I settled into a routine. Work, gym, home, repeat. It wasn't exciting, but it was mine. I was building my own life on my own terms. Then came the company's annual corporate party. I almost didn't go. Large gatherings still made me a bit uncomfortable, but my colleague Jen insisted. "Come on, Sandra," she pleaded. "It'll be fun. Plus, I heard some bigwigs from our partner companies will be there. A great networking opportunity." The party was in full swing when I arrived. Soft jazz played in the background as people mingled, drinks in hand. I was about to make a beeline for the punch bowl when I quite literally bumped into someone. "Oh, I'm so sorry," I stammered, looking up to see a pair of kind brown eyes. "No harm done," the man said with a warm smile. "I'm Michael, by the way. I don't think we've met." "Sandra," I replied, shaking his hand. "I'm from the economics department." We got to talking, and I learned that Michael was an executive from one of our partner companies. He was smart, funny, and easy to talk to. Before I knew it, hours had passed. As the party wound down, Michael asked for my number. "I'd love to continue this conversation over coffee sometime," he said. I hesitated for a moment, then thought, why not? I'd spent so much of my life taking care of others. Maybe it was time to let someone take care of me for a change. Our first date turned into a second, then a third. Before I knew it, we were officially a couple. Michael was everything I'd never known I wanted, kind, supportive, and he actually listened when I talked. A year later, he proposed to me. As we started planning the wedding, I faced a dilemma. Should I invite my family? Despite everything, they were still my parents, my sisters. After much thought, I sent the invitations to my parents, to all my sisters, even Sarah. I also sent one to my grandmother, the one person who had always been there for me. Weeks passed, and I heard nothing from my parents or sisters. Then one day, I got a call from Emily Cathy. She said, her voice trembling, "We got your invitation. Mom and Dad, they won't let us come. They won't even let us send you a card. I'm so sorry." The day of the wedding arrived. As I stood in front of the mirror in my white dress, I felt a mix of joy and sadness. My grandmother walked in, her eyes shining with tears. "Oh, Sandra," she said, hugging me tight. "You look beautiful. I'm so proud of you." As I walked down the aisle towards Michael, I saw the faces of our friends, his family, and my grandmother. My family wasn't there, but I realized something important. Family isn't always about blood. It's about love, support, and acceptance. The years after our wedding flew by in a whirlwind of love, laughter, and shared dreams. Michael and I settled into our life together, both of us continuing to work and build our careers. We traveled, explored new hobbies together, and talked endlessly about our future. Then we decided to start trying for a baby. Months passed, then a year, then two. Nothing happened. We went through all the tests, tried every recommendation, but still no baby. It was heartbreaking. The next few years were a roller coaster of hope and disappointment. We went through treatment after treatment, each failure hitting us harder than the last. One day, after another failed round of IVF, I broke down. "Maybe we're not meant to be parents," I sobbed into Michael's chest. He held me tight, stroking my hair. "Hey, look at me," he said gently. "We're going to be parents. Maybe not in the way we originally thought, but we will be. What do you think about adoption? A child is a child, Sandra. All they need is love, and we've got plenty of that." His words warmed my heart, and I felt a glimmer of hope. "Okay," I said, wiping my tears. "Let's do it." The adoption process was long and often frustrating. There were so many forms to fill out, interviews to go through, and home studies to pass. But we persevered, driven by our desire to give a child a loving home. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, we got the call. The day we met Lily was one I'll never forget. She was tiny, with big brown eyes and skin darker than ours. She looked scared and confused, clinging to her social worker's hand. I knelt down to her level. "Hi, Lily," I said softly. "I'm Sandra, and this is Michael. We've been waiting a long time to meet you." She looked at us wearily, then back at her social worker, who nodded encouragingly. Slowly, Lily reached out and took my hand. At that moment, I fell in love. This was our daughter. I didn't care that she didn't look like us or share our DNA. She was ours, and we were hers. When Lily was about 5, we sat her down and explained in simple terms how she came to be our daughter. We showed her pictures from the day we met her and told her how much we'd wanted her, how we'd fallen in love with her the moment we saw her. Lily listened intently, her brow furrowed in concentration. When we finished, she was quiet for a moment. "So you picked me?" she asked finally. I smiled, tears in my eyes. "Yes, sweetheart. Out of all the children in the world, we picked you, and we'd pick you again every single time." She beamed at us, then threw her arms around us both. "I love you, Mommy and Daddy," she said. As I held my daughter close, I thought about my own childhood. The pain, the neglect, the feeling of never being good enough. I vowed then and there that Lily would never feel that way. She would always know how loved and wanted she was. Life has a funny way of bringing you full circle. One day, Michael said his company had opened a branch in my hometown, and he would become the head of this branch. The move was chaotic, as moves tend to be, but as we settled into our new home, I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to reach out to my sisters. My parents had passed away a few years back. I hadn't gone to the funeral, but my sisters, maybe it was time to mend those fences. I reached out to Jessica and Emily first. They were cautious at first, but eager to reconnect. We met for coffee, and it was like no time had passed at all. They shared pictures of Lily and told me about their own families, their kids. "We've missed you so much, Kathy," Emily said, squeezing my hand. "We're so glad you're back." For a while, everything was perfect. We started having family gatherings and holiday celebrations. Lily was thrilled to have cousins to play with, and I loved seeing her surrounded by family. But then there was Sarah, our youngest sister. From the moment we reconnected, I could tell she hadn't changed much. She was still the spoiled, entitled girl she'd always been, now grown into a woman who thought the world revolved around her and her family. At our first big family gathering, Sarah showed up with her husband and their son, Tommy. From the moment they arrived, it was clear that Sarah saw this as a competition rather than a reunion. "Tommy, show your aunties how well you can sing," she'd say, pushing her son forward. "He's taking lessons, you know. The teacher says he's a prodigy." As the party went on, I noticed Lily hanging back, looking uncomfortable. She approached Tommy, holding out a piece of candy. "Want to share?" she asked shyly. Before Tommy could respond, Sarah swooped in. "Tommy, don't take that," she screeched. "Throw it away. Her hands are dirty." I was across the room in an instant. "Sarah, what are you talking about?" "Lily's hands are clean." But Sarah just glared at me, then at Lily. "Well, you never know with her kind," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "Come on, Tommy, let's go play with your real cousins." I stood there shocked and hurt. Did she really just say that about my daughter? From that moment on, things were tense. Sarah made it clear at every gathering that she didn't consider Lily part of the family. She loudly proclaimed that Tommy couldn't play with Lily because who knows what diseases she might have, or we don't know her genetic background. Each time, I'd confront her, defend my daughter, but the damage was being done. I could see Lily withdrawing, becoming quieter at these family events. One day, I made a decision. I wouldn't force Lily to attend these gatherings anymore. I started declining invitations, making excuses. Jessica and Emily understood, even though they were disappointed. As the dust settled from our move and the family drama that ensued, I found solace in my visits to Grandma. She had been my rock through everything, and now in her twilight years, I wanted to be there for her as much as she had been for me. Every weekend, Lily and I would make the short drive to Grandma's house. She would be waiting on the porch, her face lighting up as soon as she saw us. "There's my girl," she'd call out, arms outstretched. Lily would race up the steps, throwing herself into Grandma's embrace. "Grandma, I missed you." Watching them together always warmed my heart. Grandma doted on Lily, showering her with love and attention. She never once treated Lily differently because she was adopted. To Grandma, Lily was family, plain and simple. As the months passed, Grandma's health began to decline. Our visits became less about long talks and more about quiet companionship. Lily would read to her or show her drawings she made. Even in her weakened state, Grandma's love for us showed through. The day Grandma passed was one of the hardest of my life. We'd been there with her at the end, holding her hand as she slipped away peacefully. Lily, wise beyond her years, had climbed onto the bed and curled up next to her great-grandmother. "It's okay, Grandma," she'd whispered. "You can rest now. We'll love you." In the days that followed, as we dealt with our grief and the logistics that come with losing a loved one, we received some unexpected news. Grandma's lawyer called, asking us to come to his office. "Your grandmother left a will," he explained. When we arrived, "Well, you might want to sit down for this," he said. What he told us next left me speechless. Grandma had left everything to me and Lily. The house, several cars, and over $1 million. Your grandfather was quite successful, the lawyer explained, and your grandmother was an astute investor. She had intended to leave it all to your mother despite their estrangement. But when your mother passed, I nodded, understanding. Grandma had changed her will, leaving everything to us. When word got out about the inheritance, my phone started ringing off the hook. Jessica and Emily called to congratulate me, saying I deserved it. But then came the call I'd been dreading. "Sarah," Sandra said, her voice sickly sweet. "I heard about Grandma's will. So when are you sharing the inheritance with the rest of us?" I felt a flash of anger. After everything she'd said and done, how dare she? "I'm not," I said firmly. "The inheritance is for me and Lily. That's what Grandma wanted." "But that's not fair," Sarah screeched. "I'm family too. I deserve." I cut her off. "No, Sarah, you don't. Goodbye," and I hung up. As I put down the phone, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. For so long, I tried to please everyone, to be the perfect daughter and sister. But now I realized it was time to put my own family first. It was Jessica's birthday, and despite my reservations, I decided it was time to make an appearance at a family gathering. When we arrived, the party was in full swing. Jessica's backyard was filled with laughter and chatter. Kids ran around playing tag while adults mingled, drinks in hand. For a moment, it felt like old times. Jessica embraced me warmly. "I'm so glad you came, Kathy," she whispered. I could see the genuine happiness in her eyes. For the first hour or so, everything was fine. Lily joined her cousins on the lawn, their laughter floating across the yard. I relaxed a bit, thinking maybe this wasn't such a bad idea after all. But then I saw Sarah. She was moving from child to child, whispering in their ears. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I saw the way the kids' eyes widened, the way they glanced at Lily. Suddenly, Lily was standing alone. The other children had moved away, forming their own group, pointedly excluding her. I watched as my daughter's face crumpled in confusion and hurt. Before I could react, Lily ran to me, tears streaming down her face. "Mommy," she sobbed, "they don't want to play with me anymore. They said I'm sick and not really family." Rage boiled up inside me. I hugged Lily close and then marched over to Sarah, who was watching the scene with a smug smile. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I demanded, my voice low and dangerous. Sarah's smile didn't falter. "Oh, calm down, Sandra. I'm just telling the children the truth. They deserve to know about her condition." "Condition?" I spat. "The only person with a condition here is you, Sarah. Your behavior is disgusting." By now, we'd drawn a crowd. The other adults were watching, wide-eyed, as the confrontation unfolded. Sarah's face twisted into an ugly smear. "My behavior? That's rich coming from you, Sandra. You who shamelessly took Grandma's money, robbing the rest of us of our rightful inheritance. And for what? To give money to that girl who isn't even really part of this family." Gasps echoed around us. "How dare you?" I seethed. "Lily is my daughter. She is as much a part of this family as anyone else." Sarah laughed, a cruel, mocking sound. "Family? She's not even related to us. She's just some random kid you picked up, probably born to drug addicts or criminals. She has no right to our family's legacy." I was shaking with fury now. "You don't know anything about Lily or her birth parents, and it doesn't matter. She is my daughter, and I love her more than anything in this world." "Love?" Sarah sneered. "Is that what you call it when you use a child to steal from your own family? Face it, Sandra, you're nothing but a thief using that girl to get Grandma's money. Well, we won't stand for it anymore. It's time you shared what rightfully belongs to all of us." I was about to respond when Jessica stepped forward, her face set in determination. "That's enough, Sarah," she said firmly. "You have no right to speak to Sandra like that or to treat Lily this way." Sarah's eyes widened in shock. "What? You're taking her side?" Emily joined Jessica, standing beside me. "We both are. Sandra has always been there for us, even when our own parents weren't. She raised us, Sarah. She deserves every penny of that inheritance." I felt a lump form in my throat, touched by my sister's support. Sarah's face contorted with rage. "You traitors! How dare you? You're betraying the memory of our parents." Emily scoffed. "Our parents? The same parents who neglected us and showered you with attention. The same parents who cut Sandra off for daring to want an education." Jessica gave a nod. "Not to mention how you stole Mom and Dad's home and all of their money when they passed away, Sarah. You didn't give any of us a dime of it." This revelation was fresh to me, and I gasped. "What? Sarah, is that accurate?" Sarah's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water as her face became pale. "It's true," said Emily. "She got everything when Mom and Dad passed, and she never once offered to share." I felt a surge of fury and disillusionment. Sarah had been accusing me of stealing all along, even though she had done the exact same thing herself. "Sarah," I stated firmly and steadily, "I believe it's time for you to go." She said, "You can't make me." But Jessica interrupted. "She can indeed. I want you to go. This is my house. We're all sick of your outbursts and your meanness. You're not welcome here until you can show respect for Sandra and Lily." Sarah realized she was outnumbered as she glanced around. She took her son's hand and walked off after giving him one more scowl. I felt a burden leave my shoulders as the gate slammed behind her. With tears in my eyes, I turned to face my sisters. "Thank you," I said in a whisper. I decided later that evening. I informed my sisters of my idea over the phone the next day. They protested that I didn't have to, but I persisted. I kept the million for our family and gave them the house and the cars. I experienced a wave of calm when the inheritance was resolved. I made sure Lily will always be taken care of by transferring half of the money to a trust fund for her future. Michael and I made the decision to use the other half for our family. We would go to Disney World, which Lily had been fantasizing about. We would remodel our house to make it the ideal setting for our small family. Additionally, we would consider adopting a second kid to give Lily the sibling she has always desired.